Hey y'all, welcome back to Convos with Bree. I'm Bree, Bree, and today is day 44 of the Visibility Challenge and day 5 of reading my book, Young Writer's Day. Let's jump right back in. Junior high was good, honestly. I kept being funny, and we had a ton of new kids to meet. New school, new teachers, new classes. My junior high math teachers were both great. I still couldn't manage to make the majority of it stick, but somehow I did just well enough to skate by. I also cheated a lot, and I got a lot of help with my homework. Nobody seemed to care though. As long as it looked like I was doing good, and I was doing great everywhere else, so nobody cared. I didn't make waves, but I was funny. I was compliant, and it worked. I rode that for 2 years. I helped teachers with their classrooms. I made people laugh. I had a solid group of friends. Life should have been great, but I still wasn't okay. And each year, things were getting more complicated. I was still feeling like I wasn't ready to grow up. I didn't want to. There was still a lot of drama, a lot of mean, a lot of bad around growing up. Everyone wanted to start dating, drinking, smoking. It was starting to feel like everyone wanted to grow up but me. My brother is 5 years older than me. I knew all of his friends. When they started wanting me to hang out with them, I was so excited that I would have pretty much done anything. When they asked me if I wanted to get drunk, I was in. When they asked me if I wanted to get high, I was in. I remember feeling so cool. One time, a group of older girls offered me a ride home. They were heading to my house to see my brother and his friends. The only catch was that they were smoking weed on the way there. I said cool, and they lit a blunt. I smoked the entire thing with them. I had smoked one time before this. They kept asking me if I wanted to put it out, and I said, nope, I'm good when you're good. They laughed. They thought that I was going to regret it. They thought that I'd be a mess, but I was fine. They were losing their minds over how much weed I could smoke. Where was the award for that? I honestly felt like I was just really good at smoking weed. They said that I could hang out with them anytime after that. I thought, cool, that was easy. High school would be a breeze. I had been around it enough with my brothers and his friends, and honestly, I liked it better than anything else I knew about. Everyone I was around was nice when they smoked. My skin wasn't burning and on fire when I smoked. We talked about everything when we smoked. It never felt scary to me. So when anyone offered, of course, I was in. It felt like a fun, wonderful place to be. The older kids loved me. I felt like I belonged. I felt like, oh, it was just that I'm ahead of my time. I have found my people. Even my brother was nice to me when we were smoking. It didn't take long for this to turn into all that I did. I burnt out fast and didn't want to do it anymore. I was tired all the time. I wasn't sleeping because my brother's friends would want me to sneak out when my parents went to bed. We would hang out all night talking and smoking. It was so fun at first, but then it was the same things, the same conversations, the same people, the same music. My friends all wanted me to bring them, get them things, bring stuff to parties. I just wanted people to want me to be there. I hated the pressure. I was tired. I needed to sleep. This wasn't fun anymore. I was spent. The more tired I got, the more guilty I started to feel. Sneaking around, omitting information, not following the law. My parents didn't deserve that. My parents didn't deserve what we would put them through if we got caught either. And we hadn't gotten caught. I should get out while I was ahead, right? My parents always encouraged me to be me, and none of this felt like me. I knew that I could tell them everything, that they could help me fix everything. But I also knew I couldn't tell them without changing everything. I couldn't picture a world where everything got better if I told. There would be a lot of fighting, a lot of people would get in trouble, a lot of people would question every single thing anyone said. We would all have to tell our stories. Some would be too scared, some would tell more, some would sound like me. Everyone in the whole district would know. Everyone would know I told. And if by any chance the teachers got away with it, like if nobody would talk, people would think I lied. I never lie. I will find the truth and make it work to my advantage, sure, but I don't lie. The thought that people would think that I did, that made me not want to tell ever. And what if my very first mean teacher got away with it? She would be even worse. Maybe this wasn't so bad. Maybe it was the lesser of two evils. Everyone else was making it through okay. They weren't telling or getting anyone else involved. I just needed to hang in there. Besides, the police officer was still on the force, moving right on up in his career. Maybe the bad guys always won. I let my experiences lead the way and I kept my mouth shut. I filled my life with more things to do. I thought I could distract myself away from all of it. I joined the cheerleading squad and dove more into softball. I loved to act annoyed while saying my new catchphrase, "Sorry, I can't. I have practice." I wasn't annoyed. This was all intentional. I wanted better things. I wanted a better life. I wanted my life back before all of this. I was determined to get it back. But I thought that I still needed excuses and I wasn't confident in my decision to get my life back on track because I was afraid. What if I lost all my friends? What if I was worse? What if it was worse? What if I was too far behind? What if it was too late? It was scary, but it was working, so I kept moving forward. I was doing really well. I was still having fun with my friends, but not hanging out as much outside of school. I was feeling good. I was really enjoying sports and even started to love school again. My teachers were good. I was in good graces with all of them, even the ones that everyone thought were awful. I thought they were great. The hardest thing was the hives. I could not get rid of them. They were getting worse, but I was managing. Things could always be worse, right? One day I was on my way to class when one of my favorite teachers asked me to pop in quick and chat with her. I gladly followed her into the classroom, but immediately wondered why. She never asked me to come talk to her, and I was going to be late for class. I'm sure she'd write me a pass. It'll be fine. Relax. I walked in and was shocked. There was a circle of chairs with almost all of my teachers standing next to them. There was one chair left. My first thought was, oh my God, are they surprising me to tell me how much I have improved? Have they noticed how hard I have been working? Am I getting an award? I didn't know what else it could possibly be. The room felt weird, but I didn't know to be alarmed. I had never experienced anything like this in my life until now. I walked in, and when I reached the chair, we all sat down. I noticed it then. The position of the chair was weird. I had my back to the wall and was facing the door. It felt like they were all around me. I looked around the room at their somber faces. I was not getting an award. I didn't know why I was here, but I knew it wasn't good. I didn't do anything wrong. Suddenly, I felt like I was suffocating. I started sweating. I started breaking out in hives. I closed my eyes. I barely even heard the words. They overheard someone talking about parties, and they knew I was involved, that my brother and his friends and a lot of my friends were involved. People were watching us. The police, the school, they had proof. They were so disappointed in me. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to cry. I wanted to start jumping up and down, screaming, throw my arms around. I felt like I was losing my mind. I couldn't believe that all my hard work was for nothing. Busting my ass to change my life, saying no to everyone. My friends, my brother, my brother's friends, everyone. I turned down everything. I was fighting for the life I wanted. I was spending so many frustrating hours trying to make math stick in my brain. And this, this is what they noticed. What my brother was doing, what my friends were doing, what the friends of my brother were doing, what the kids that were partying were doing. Nothing about me. None of them knew me. All of the hours I spent helping, learning, trying, participating, practicing, studying, this is what they saw. Everyone and everything but me. And just like that, I was gone. I don't remember anything that was said. I was out of my body again. I was floating. I was watching. This time was different, though. I had been here before. I was aware that I wasn't in my body. And this time, as I watched a room full of adults ganging up on me, I realized I don't have to take this. I don't have to sit here and listen to this. They don't have proof. I wasn't doing anything that they said. I needed to get out of here and stop letting these adults think that this was okay. And even if I had been partying still, making me feel like a piece of shit was not the way to make me want to do better. I felt it happening, like the moment just before a roller coaster ride really starts. You hear the click and feel it slightly move. You take a big breath and you know everything is about to move really fast. You hold on and then you take off. I was back. I was sitting in the chair. I looked down at my hands, sweaty, scared little fists. I looked around the room. They were saying how bad I was, how disappointed they were, how they expected more from me, what a loser I was being, how if this is what I wanted, I'd never be anything, just a loser, drug addict, alcoholic. They took turns tearing me down for things that I wasn't doing, trying to scare me into being good, trying to scare me into telling them things. What was even happening? How was this my life no matter what I did? At one point, I let out a shocked laugh and asked if they had confused me with someone else. I genuinely thought that they had to have me confused with someone else. They looked around and I realized they weren't really sure. All of this, and they weren't even really sure. They said they had a pretty good idea that it was me. A pretty good idea. I told them it wasn't me. I told them that I wasn't doing any of that. I didn't know anything about a party I had been at practice. Ask. I had an alibi. They looked at each other and then said that they wouldn't be asking anyone. They knew it was me. But they just admitted that they didn't. And I really did have an alibi. They didn't care. They had already made up their minds that I was bad. All of the hard work meant nothing. My character meant nothing. My actions meant nothing. Then they made it extra special. They wanted to make sure I'd never forget this moment. They told me that I wasn't allowed to go on the bus trip to see the Chicago Cubs baseball game for the end of the year because of my terrible behavior. I saw red. For the first time in my life, I saw red. I had never been so angry in my entire life. I took those tiny, balled up, sweaty fists and I squeezed even harder. I stood up. I wanted to say something clever, but I knew that if I opened my mouth, the tears would fall. I would lose control. I would fall apart. I just had an entire group of people that I loved, that I respected, that I had wanted to be around, to learn from, judge me, without ever even getting to know me. That was the thing, too. I really thought they did. I really thought that they saw me. I thought that we understood each other, respected each other. Turns out that was a one-way street. I felt like the rug was pulled out from under me again. I squeezed even harder. I would not cry. There was no way I was falling apart. Not now. There was no way that I was letting them win. One of my teachers was a big, grumpy, mean older man that everyone feared. Up until this moment, I thought he was great. I thought he was great until I walked into this room and found him there. He told me in a loud, booming voice to sit down in my seat right now. He told me that my disrespectful behavior would not be tolerated, that he would not tolerate me. I locked eyes with him and didn't budge. He stood up to challenge me. I am 5 feet as an adult. He would tower over me now. He definitely towered over me then. I did what any tiny person would do when a giant man challenges you with his stature. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the fact that he thought he could threaten me with his body was so wrong that it was comically bad. I couldn't believe this was happening. Right then and there, I decided I wouldn't tolerate them. I would never tolerate this bullshit again. Nobody was going to treat me like this ever again. And nobody was keeping me from anything. Shoulders back, head up, I looked straight ahead, and I started walking towards the door. As soon as I was out of the circle of chairs, I could breathe again. I was almost to the door when I realized they aren't stopping me. They can't stop me. They do not have anything on me. If they did, they wouldn't have let me leave. My parents would be here. The principal would be here. They did this on their own. They weren't supposed to be doing this. They knew they weren't supposed to be doing this. I looked back with one hand on the door handle, and with the strongest face I could show, I said, I'm going on that bus trip. If you have a problem, call my parents and we'll tell them about this. And I walked out. Head held high, shoulders back. I walked out of the room and immediately into the bathroom. I waited and I waited. None of them followed me. Everyone was in class. I cried. I sobbed. I wept with my entire body. I should have felt great. It should have felt like a win. I stood up to the bullies, but it didn't feel good. This time, I didn't want to keep working hard. This time, I just wanted to say, fuck it. Fuck everything. Fuck everyone. Fuck it. I'm done. I was catapulted back to 4th grade, losing myself, losing my faith, losing my feelings. I couldn't feel things the same way anymore. I wasn't hopeful in the same way. I didn't have a safe space at school. Now I didn't even feel like I had teachers. I didn't care anymore. Weed and alcohol for everyone. When I stopped crying, I started to pull myself together. I thought, if everyone already assumes that I am a loser, that I'd never be anything, that I was just an alcoholic, a drug addict, a party girl on the road to nowhere, I'd prove them wrong. I'd be the best one out there, and I'd have fun doing it. Who even cared what happened anymore? Nothing good was coming for me from school. That was apparent. I was going to be judged for this no matter what. I already was, so I may as well do it on my terms, right? It was fun when I let it be fun. It was the overthinking, it was the fear of getting in trouble. I mean, obviously, I didn't have to worry about that. I was getting caught even when I wasn't doing anything. Fuck it. I was diving in head first. They never called my parents. I went on the trip. It ended up raining for hours while we waited to see if it would break. It didn't. The game was canceled. We got back on the bus and headed home. It is poetic if you think about it, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I still played in the rain. I laughed with my friends. Wrigley Stadium played music and we danced in the rain. Those teachers had to chaperone and let me be on the bus. They didn't break me. They wounded me, but I healed stronger. None of this should have happened. This story doesn't end exactly like the last one, and that is okay. Everything that happened set me up for a lot of shitty things that happened throughout the rest of my life. I used to dream about what my life would have been like if I didn't have these terrible teachers. If teachers like my favorite one filled my life instead of becoming my one lifeline. That isn't what happened though. And that's okay because life is what you make it. And I was determined to still make it something good. It gave me a lot of really cool lessons, and here are some of my favorite. It is not your job to worry about what happens. A lot of us spend time worrying about or making excuses for the actions of others. We make excuses for them for a lot of different reasons. In these stories, it was because I couldn't make sense of why someone would do these things. It made me feel like I had to be missing something big. And as a curious creature, we really want to know why. Why would someone do this? But a lot of times, our need to know why puts us in the line of fire, just like it did to me, time and time again. But I had to know why. I would face the fire. I made excuses when I didn't have enough information for why. A lot of the reason that I didn't want to tell or get help was honestly because, as bad as it was, I didn't want to get anyone in trouble. Not the teachers, not my brother, not my friends, not his friends. I felt like maybe this was all a misunderstanding. Seriously, what if I just didn't have enough info? Maybe there were things I didn't know. Maybe nobody would take me seriously. Maybe my teachers would be meaner to me. Maybe she would be meaner to all of us. There was a lot that I didn't know. There was a lot that I didn't understand. And listen, I had never been in these situations before. I didn't have anything to base this experience off of. When it all started, I was just a fourth grader, winging it. I thought the whole world was made of magic, and I just wanted to hear more Tom Petty songs. I had no idea that there was so much more to the world, that there is bad shit everywhere. But you cannot change that. You cannot make the whole world be what you want. Worrying about it and stressing over it will not change it. You cannot make people better, no matter how much you want it. And it is not your responsibility to make them or want it for them. When people act in a way that harms you or others, shout it out if you want to. Tell anyone that you want. Get help. Whatever you have to do to make it stop happening to you, to others, stand up for what is right. I should have screamed in that hallway the minute I saw her leaning over the chair. I should have run to get someone. I should have done anything that involved an adult every single time. I felt scared around another adult. I should have told anyone who would listen to me. And I should have told over and over and over again until someone did something. I definitely should have told my parents. I should have let them make a scene. I should have let everyone get involved. What would have happened? Maybe she would have hit me hard enough to leave a mark, and at least then I would have had some proof. Bottom line, you aren't responsible for their actions. Tell. And if the first person can't help you or doesn't help you, tell someone else. Keep talking until someone helps you. And do not be afraid to tell. If they get in trouble, that's not on you. Why? Well, I'm glad you asked. Lesson 2, own your actions. If you don't want to get in trouble, don't do things that get you in trouble. Seriously, that simple. If you don't do things that you can't get in trouble for, you never have to worry. Seems easy enough, right? Why is this a lesson? Well, because apparently it's not. There are a whole lot of people out here doing things that they aren't proud of. They don't want people to know. Things that they hide away. I say, if it doesn't sit well with your soul, don't do it. You have to be confident in your actions. It's as easy as that. And if you do things that don't sit well with your soul, well, at least you own up when you get caught. It's easy thinking about it like that, right? Well, it's the same thing on the flip side. If someone does something to you that they don't want anyone to know about, they shouldn't have done it then. It is not your problem. Tell anyone that you want. Do what you want with it. It's your story. The minute that they acted towards you, involved you, it became your story. Nobody can tell you what to do with that. The more you put yourself first, the better your story gets. It is not your responsibility to hide things for other people. The actions of others is not yours to figure out. How you respond to it is all that is on you. Lesson 3. Kids should not fix adult situations, ever. Yet it happens more than we realize. What I have learned along the way is that talking to kids like they are people is where it's at. Kids need adults who hear them, who let them dream, who teach them how to be even more of themselves. If you are bitter, stay away from kids. If you have a short fuse, get irritated with questions, feel like life has killed your soul, please stay away from kids. We assume because they are tiny little humans that they are fine, that they are just playing and learning and living life. But kids don't know how to say, "Hi, I think that I am starting to feel anxious because my teacher is really scary," without that becoming a really big deal. Kids don't know how to tell you that they are picking up on your energy, on your words, on your tone, and learning how to act based on those cues. We obviously cannot be perfect around kids, but when we aren't, we need to be better about explaining what is happening. why we are feeling how we are feeling. They know so much more than we give them credit for. When we let kids be kids while also getting to know them as people, it changes things. While we should never have them fixing things or being involved directly in hotspots, talking to them shows that the world isn't perfect. When we talk to them about why we had a big reaction, or why we were upset, or why we were stressed, it helps them understand feelings, theirs and others. Remember, things that seem obvious to us aren't always. They are learning, and you can't know something until you know it. Even the easiest things we had to learn at some point. I know adults that struggle with communicating feelings. How do we expect kids to? Talking to your kids like people, real people, asking them questions, answering theirs, getting curious when you don't know. And if they ever tell you that they are afraid of someone they shouldn't be, tread lightly and listen more than you speak. Stay calm, no matter how hard that may be. And most of all, no matter what is happening, just be there. Sometimes, even if they keep you in the dark, the way that I did to my parents, just being there, just being a loving home, that helped me substantially. That gave me the courage to get through it. It gave me a place to breathe. Be a safe space for them because this world isn't going to show them that all the time, no matter how great of a job you do. 4, you can't change it. Listen, this whole story doesn't end with me saying, I am so grateful for these terrible teachers. I'm stronger, better. I figured it all out right then and there, and everything went great. In fact, it was the opposite. If you keep reading, you'll know that this took me to some really awful places, but it also took me to some beautiful ones, and I came out stronger. I heal. I find myself. I keep finding myself. The journey unfolds, but it happened. And I still, to this day, can't say that life was better because of it. And I have seen my friends that went through it too. And if I were a betting gal, which I only am sometimes, I would bet that they would tell you that they are most definitely not better because of it. But that's the thing. Not everything that happens is designed to make you better. Not everything unfolds and feels like magic. Some things happen because shitty things do happen, and we need to be aware of them. Some things happen because some people, they don't want to change, ever. We need to be aware of that too, because we are not in charge of other people's actions, right? We are not in charge of their lives. We do not get a say in what they do while they are here, no matter how badly we want to. I don't want these mean-ass old ladies to be mean-ass old ladies. I would love for them to have found peace, made amends with their own traumas. I know that anyone that behaves that way has a world of trauma locked inside of them. They wouldn't act that way if they didn't. So I feel for them. I empathize that. They are old, mean ladies. And that they are still old, mean ladies. And that makes me see them differently. It makes me see that it really isn't them. It's trauma. It's passed down. They couldn't escape it. I hope their kids do. I can't imagine what life was like growing up with that at school and at home. And that makes me grateful that I didn't. 5, there is gratitude in everything. There is understanding in everything. There is peace in everything. No matter what happens in life, we can find something to connect it with that feels peaceful to us. We can find peace in anything, as unbelievable as that may seem to imagine. In some situations, it is a lot harder to find than others. For me, all of these stories that I share were pretty hard to sort through, but that's why I share them. I am proof that if you really want to live your life as peacefully as possible, you can, once you learn to trust in the lesson. And that is a hard fact to lean into sometimes. I've wanted to fight it a lot too. I am hopeful that in sharing some of these, you can see it, you can feel it, you can relate it back to your own story, however that looks to you. In this one, I really had to break it down and think about what would cause a person to do that to another person, and it broke my heart. I can't imagine carrying around that kind of pain, that kind of hurt for a lifetime and never getting to actually enjoy your time here. That realization was what made me be able to let it go, to make peace, because I didn't want to carry this with me anymore. In writing this story, I realized a lot. I did what I felt was right. I made it through. I am healing every day, and it taught me a lot about what I didn't want my life to look like. It taught me a lot of lessons quickly so that now I have a whole lot of life left to live in a big, beautiful way. I will forever be grateful for that. I will forever have peace in that. When we make peace, we can let it go. Accepting, healing, and letting go, that is how we move forward. We grow. We change the world a little less trauma at a time. 6, we have to stick up for ourselves. A lot of us don't, and a lot of us look for people who will do it for us. I did because of things like this. I thought that someone sticking up for me was love. Someone not letting another person hurt me was love. And I wasn't wrong. It is a form of love. I love my friends, my family. I will stick up for them, and they will stick up for me. But when we spend all of our lives sticking up for people and they never have to do it for themselves, they aren't learning that tool. We have to let people defend themselves as well. We have to let people figure out how to best solve their problems. Always doing it for them, if someone is always doing it for us, it's a disservice. We all have our own ways of handling things. And if you never learn yours, if you keep jumping in for someone else, how do we figure out what the unique way is? We have to be able to stick up for ourselves. It is powerful, and it connects you to you. We tend to put ourselves last though, because we don't really know how, and it doesn't really feel right. When you grow up confused about big situations like I did in this story, no matter how shitty something is in your past, it happened. And for reasons unknown to us, it needed to happen. When we find the lesson in it, we heal. When we share our story, we leave others feeling less alone, not so lost, and we go through it head on. We process, we heal. Some things happen to us because we need to feel them all the way through. We need to know that this is something that we need help to change. This is part of our story that needs to come out so that other things can happen. Maybe you read this story and you are the one that runs with it. Maybe the story fed your soul and it starts to fuel you towards a positive change. An idea. Who knows? That is the fun part. That is the unknown. That is not for me to figure out. I just know that this story is my story for a reason. And if I share it with you and you run with it, or if it helps you heal, if it helps you share yours, sparks you in some way, all worth it. Nothing meant for you will miss you. Me being pulled to write and share the specific story means that somewhere someone needs it. I needed it when I was little. Maybe if I had gotten my hands on a story like this, I would have told. And that is why lesson number 7 is that nothing meant for you will miss you. Maybe if I did get my hands on a story like this and told, maybe I would have just said, hey, read this book. I understand it too much and I need help. Who knows? Again, this is the fun part. The minute you let yourself feel it, really feel it, sink into it, you will realize that the trauma you have been lessening because it could have been worse is becoming worse. It's becoming worse because you won't recognize it. You won't let it out. That energy needs somewhere to go. When it doesn't have anywhere to go, it starts to sit on our body. That can look like anything, like hives, nervous habits, physical pain, weight, mental health, anything. But until we recognize our trauma for what it is and what it was for us, and only for us, we will carry it in an unhealthy way. Even if you are managing, life isn't what it is supposed to be. It can't be, because life needs you to 8. Let that shit go and shake that shit out. Trauma will happen. It's not always deserved. It's not always a big karmic lesson. Sometimes it just sucks. Sometimes you get pulled into other people's stuff. Sometimes the answer isn't that people are perfect. People aren't perfect. Some aren't dealing with their trauma, and they are projectile vomiting their trauma onto others. And not everyone is going to heal. Not everyone gets it right quickly. And sometimes we still mess up when we are trying to do better. Our trauma can pass on to others. We can inflict new trauma onto others. That is why it is so important that we heal, that we recognize it for what it really did to us. And once we do, we can find out what it can do for us. We use it. We let it go and find some peace within ourselves. We forgive ourselves for not speaking up, for not doing things differently, for all the hard years that came after it. We start to forgive ourselves and everything because it all came from somewhere, and here we are, acknowledging it, really trying our best to move forward and use our situations that hurt us the most for good. Ease up on yourself. Bad people don't worry about getting better. If you are making baby steps, celebrate. You are good. You are trying. And even if you haven't always been good, we can always be better. We can always heal more. I am not the first person to have a shitty teacher or a shitty boss. In fact, every single story that you read from me, I am not the first. I am not the last. That is why we bond together. We mend and we form a healthy alliance. We vow to put ourselves first and take no shit from this world. This is where we really start to learn about our value. 9. We are not too soft for this world. This world needs us, really needs us to be our most authentic selves. It needs us to bring our light, our good, our uniqueness into the world to inspire others to find theirs. Imagine if every truly wonderful person you know had millions and millions of dollars in their bank account from doing something that they loved, feeling lighter than ever, more inspiring than ever. I think of a world full of my favorite teachers, the lifelines. The more of us there are, the less shit there is. It is literally up to us to shake the shit out of the world by being ourselves, by not quitting, by not listening to the people that don't even matter. We deserve great things. We would do incredible things with our money, our time, our power. We want more of our people with resources putting their greatness into the world. That is where change starts. 10. Don't let anyone take away your trip to a Cubs game. In fact, don't let anyone take anything away from you ever again. Period. Point blank. Sometimes making waves catches you in one. When I think about this story and how it all started, the only way to change it is if I would have left my friend in that classroom. I would have left him all alone. I would have knowingly left him all alone. I can't imagine what else would have happened had I left. Sure. Sure. Maybe I wouldn't have had my whole shit show of a story. But maybe I would have had a worse story. Leaving my friend felt wrong in every single way. I don't know the person that doesn't burst into a room to save someone. That's not me. I felt a force bigger than me, screaming to stay, screaming that this wasn't right, screaming at me to listen. It physically moved my body into the storm. I would never choose another option. And guess what? Maybe it made my story harder, but I handled every single thing that came my way. I never had to regret my actions. And now, because I did bust in that day, I have such a deeper understanding and appreciation of my entire life going through this process and writing these stories. I realized I wouldn't change it. I wasn't supposed to become whoever that girl was. It was always this. I mourned the loss of that girl a long time ago, thinking that she was gone forever. But in writing this, I found that she was always here. She was just hiding, letting me build, letting me figure it out. She is here now. And let me tell you, she is fierce. She stays standing in any storm. She calms the storm. And sometimes she is the storm. I am proud of myself for making it through, for facing my fears, for acknowledging this part of my life, and for letting the hives go. I saw my 5th and 6th grade math teachers together a few years ago when I was out with my mom. They were having a garage sale and they barely remembered who I was. When I told them, they immediately remembered my class and asked me for some gossip about them. Not good gossip, like who is successful, who loves their life. They wanted to know the negative things about everyone. It was like they never left. I looked at them. I looked down at the table with all their cheap crap everywhere and realized this is who I let make me feel so afraid, so bad about myself. These two mean old ladies with all their weird knickknacks, which most of belonged in the trash. These two old ladies that were still stuck in elementary school. My mom knows everything now. She was appreciating this moment as much as I was. I said that my entire class was doing incredible, and we left. Good riddance. And for the people in the back, 11. Appreciate your people. If you have great teachers, great parents, great friends, great police officers, anyone, appreciate them. Love them, and if something is wrong, tell them. They will go to bat for you. My mom would have taken out the entire district had I told her. You do not have to suffer for years. Talk it out. If anything does not feel good to you, get a safe person, a safe space, and communicate. Your people will be there. Your people will help you. Be there for them too. They need you just as much as you need them. Be each other's people. Light each other up. We need to build together. Normalize talking about weird stuff. Cool things come from it. Get curious, and as always appreciate the people who make the hard times even just a little less hard. This book is dedicated to my wonderful elementary teachers who made learning fun and made me love school, love learning, and made me a student for life. A special thank you to my favorite teacher who gave me the hope, gave me the light through all of the darkness. You are the epitome of what a teacher should be. I am so blessed to have had you in my corner for all of those years. I can't imagine how I ever would have made it through without you. Thank you for helping me keep my spark alive through it all. Thank you for being you and teaching me just how truly important it is. There are no words that will ever be able to say just how much I appreciate you. Thank you to all the incredible teachers and police officers out there. Keep shining. You are appreciated and needed more than you know. This book comes with a unique behind the scenes story. I had a really tough time writing this story. I fought with it a lot in my brain. It's heavy. Revisiting these stories puts me right back in the moment. I almost had to quit this process so many times that I lost count. I tore up the inside of my cheeks, biting them so much that Marco was worried that I would have holes in them. It was tough. Was this really all worth it? So I asked myself what I needed to get through this process. What I really needed was a sign. I really needed a sign. Even those of us who believe in ourselves 8 billion% still have tough moments, moments where doubt tries to get us. On this particular day, I was having a hard time leaning in. My excitement was showing its face as fear. I needed life to show me I was moving in the right direction. Marco and I have noticed that when life wants to show you something, it makes sure that you are paying attention. It is full of irony and it's comically bad, so much that so much that it's usually funny when you really think about it. This story is just that. I had spent the morning with my mom running errands. We were literally at or next to a grocery store all morning, and I never got the things that I needed for lunch. I didn't even think about it. When I look back at it, I was operating like I knew that I would be at the store by my house later that day. It wasn't even on my mind. My mom and I had a wonderful day and I soaked it in. Then she headed for home. I went in to love on my puppies and check in with Marco to see what he would be coming home to for. I went in to love on my puppies and check in with Marco to see when he would be coming home for his lunch break, and I had just enough time. I jumped in Ronda La Honda and shifted my way to the store. Windows down, music up. One of my favorite places to be. I pulled into the parking lot, and it was like I pulled up into an alternate universe. Everything felt different. It was like pulling up to a movie set like The Truman Show. I love Jim Carrey. I had to stop immediately. The parking lot was pure chaos. A girl had pulled out of her parking spot and driven up to the crosswalk. She was waiting on the people crossing when a handicapped driver started backing out of their space. The space that the girl was directly behind. They were moving so slowly, rolling closer and closer to the girl's car. The girl couldn't move anywhere. There were people everywhere. All of the people stop seeing it happen, but nobody moves. Everyone is now frozen in fear watching this white SUV slow roll towards this girl's car. The girl's mouth is open wide in shock at what is happening. There is a heavy-set man outside the front door with his hands on his cheeks, mouth open, face turning red because he has stopped breathing while watching this happen. And then, just before the SUV collides with the girl's car at approximately 0.003 miles per hour, the SUV comes to a very dramatic halt. I laughed. I wasn't expecting so much flair. Then it got better. It felt like a circus. The man realizes that he hasn't been breathing and starts taking hyperventilating breaths. He steals the scene with his gigantic hand sweeps across his forehead. Whew, he mouths to the girl. She relaxes now too, appreciating that gesture from him. She nods her head rapidly in agreement. She even threw in a thumbs up, which I appreciate on a soulful level. I have so many photos of me as a kid looking like I am constantly hitchhiking because I always snuck in a thumbs up. I was having such a moment with that thumbs up that it caught me off guard when all of a sudden it felt like someone yelled out, "And scene." Everyone started walking and moving like the cameras were off them, back to normal. And then I looked straight ahead, and there she was, my fourth grade teacher, standing by her cart in front of my car with her hands up in front of her chest, palms facing me, and she mouths 2 words to me, clear as day. There is no mistaking what she said. "I'm sorry." I sat there, mouth open, shocked. And poof, she was gone. I realized she took this batch of trauma with her. I felt lighter. I felt free. I felt more myself than I ever have. This story, this is the one. This story is what changes my entire life. It changed it before and it changes it again. But this time, it's beautiful. I got my power back. I let it go, right there in that parking lot. Doubt and I would not meet here again. Tom Petty came on. Of course he did. I turned him up, windows down, sunroof open. I shifted my way back to the love of my life and our next adventure. And scene. Woo! Y'all. I really did see my teacher standing there, and my brain just went into like such a place of shock that I didn't even see her leave. And I went in and I got my things. And then, of course, the minute I come back out, Tom Petty's on, always making me feel better, more myself. This book was really hard. And it's funny because rereading it, I can see so many errors that are in it. And I can see where I just had to put it out, or I knew I was never going to put it out. There's so many things that I would change as me today. I would have shortened it. I would have taken out a lot of the repetition, found and corrected a lot of the mistakes. But me today wasn't writing this story. And it's also funny because when I was reading it, the places where I got kind of tripped up, it's places that I was critiquing a little bit, even as I was reading. But when I reminded myself that the little version of me wrote this book, and you can see Marco designed this cover, y'all. And my God, there's duct tape where it says Young Writers Day. There's ants on the cover. There's the tree that the cop tried to hide behind. The bathroom that I ran into both times out of body when I had just come back. The apple for the teachers, the DARE program, like my notebook that I was writing in. There's a picture of a little me in 4th grade on the back. That was the one that was starting to deal with all of this. Like, so much love went into this book. And I never really promoted it when I wrote it because I knew it was so heavy and so hard. And I knew that this very young version of me wrote it. And I felt like people would tear it apart and they wouldn't love it because of everything that wasn't perfect about it. But now, as I sit here with it in my hand, just completing this reading, I honestly feel like that's what makes it more perfect. I wrote it at the time to let out what I couldn't stop storing. And while I still get hives, it's like a fraction of what I used to get, like an eighth of what I used to get. And it's just so wild to me how much writing can truly change your life, how much publishing a story about what you went through and allowing people to see it as is. It's so connecting. It's so beautiful. It's so life changing. And every time I pick it up, every time I read it, both books, I feel it changed my life a little more. Every time somebody says, Bree, I listened to your book or I read your books and it changed me, that changes me. Y'all, this just sparked me. I'm going to be writing a lot more in the next chunk of time. I can feel it. The next one is ready. I've been waiting for this moment, but this feels too good to not. All right, y'all. Let's enjoy this beautiful day. Let's soak in those lessons. Let's do something absolutely magical with a piece of our stories. Let's let it off of us. Let's let it come to the surface. Let's find more of ourselves. And let's just remember that nothing that is meant for you will miss you.